Welcome to Travel You Can Trust, a podcast from the American Society of Travel Advisors, ASTA for short. We're the world's leading association of travel professionals and the global voice for travel agencies, travel advisors, the industry, and the traveling public. I'm Mike Sharpe, Vice President of Membership, Marketing, and Communications for ASTA, joined as always by my partner in crime, Alvin Adriano, Director of Education. Alvin, how we doing?
Doing great, man. It's been a great start to the year. I mean, we had so much momentum starting from the holidays. Just so excited to get started in 2026. And for all the listeners out there, we've got some amazing surprises for you. So keep listening on. Can't wait to unveil.
And we are joined today on this fantastic episode by Alex Sharpe, CEO of Signature Travel Network. And later, we're going to get rid of Alvin because I got to sit down one-on-one with John Chernesky, Senior Vice President and Chief Sales Officer of Norwegian Cruise Line, on their decision to eliminate non-commissionable fares on all of their cruises for all travel advisors.
Woo!
Fantastic news. That was a great Christmas present from Norwegian Cruise Line. It did make a little extra work for me over break, but first, Alvin, before we get to all of that exciting stuff, we've had a busy start to the year. We just came back from ASTA Globes, which is our first ever standalone award show. Fantastic night. If you're listening and haven't seen what we did there, please go check out what we've done with the ASTA Globes. But Alvin, in addition to partying with me at the Globes and all the stuff that our audience knows you do with VTA, you also run the content for all of our events. And so let's talk a little bit about what's coming up in the first half of the year for ASTA.
Well, just to touch back on the Globes, that night was inspiring. I mean, we were able to celebrate advisors, put them on the spotlight, and show excellence in a way that we've never done in this industry. And so, kudos for all those that were recognized for all their achievements. And I can't wait for this event to actually grow out more because we need to put advisors on the forefront. We need to celebrate them, and we need to put the spotlight right back on them so that they can build more credibility for this industry. But yeah, it was a great start to the year. Again, inspiring to see so many people reach for the stars, hit success. But with that entailed, like you said, Shadi, we've got some great events coming up. Excellent lineups, content and programming. I mean, we want travel advisors to grow, so we are building, helping you, educating you, and equipping you on the business side. We have some fan favorites like Meredith Callaway, Chief Visionary Officer of Gifted Travel Network. And her inspiring story of entrepreneurship. We also have our friends from HAR, the Host Agency Review with Jen Myers, Mary Missanari from Duoda, and some things that many advisors may not really think is important, but especially important for the beginning of the year, which are taxes. We got our new friend Andrew Rode, tax accounting for travel advisors, who will come and show the fundamentals of taxes and ways that you can leverage your business for your tax purposes. So, that's only for TAC. River Cruise Expo, Shadi, I mean, that's a whole nother animal on its own. I mean, us being able to connect advisors with River Cruise executives, with the lines and the brands, but most importantly, how to leverage when you are at the event using branding, your story on authenticity. I mean, all of these are practical tools that you'll be able to use and harness to leverage your business. So, I mean, Shawty, we've got tons of stuff. I can't wait to see all the attendees, what they've got, and just the things and the people that will be connecting and bridging these communities together. I mean, on the marketing side, what do you got going on?
Yeah, I would just say on that marketing thing specifically, the biggest marketing win that I think ASTA has had over the last couple of years wasn't even something I necessarily had that big of a part of, but it was the decision to rebrand ASTA Global Convention that clearly was not working. Like it was a good event, but not a great event, and it was an event that people felt they had to be at. And it was kind of the big question was why. It was just a question mark. Like, is it just to come together? Because we come together so frequently in this industry that simply having another, and I'll say this like with all the love in my heart, but another rubber chicken dinner and
Yeah.
another dance party and another whatever, like it didn't necessarily have to happen. The Travel Advisor Conference, and I'm actually wearing my TAC quarter zip. It is so different. And so the marketing around that is so different from what it used to be. It's not just a moment to come together. It really is a moment to learn. When you
Yeah.
come to River Cruise Expo, you know you're going to sell river cruises better. No matter where you are in the travel industry, if you come to TAC, and I'll make sure that the link for registering for TAC's in the show notes. When you come to Travel Advisor Conference, you're going to learn to sell everything better, run your business better, be a better professional. And we talk a lot on this program about professionalism as it relates to the Verified Travel Advisor program, as it relates to ASTA education, something that's near and dear to both of us, near and dear to Alex Sharpe that we're going to talk to soon. Our in-person events delve into that so hardcore,
Mhm.
whether that's, the way we're expanding River Cruise Expo programming, the way we're expanding TAC programming, the way we're expanding Caribbean Showcase programming. Like, it is not just a chance to come to a glorified fam or a glorified, national convention where you're going to see all your best buddies. You are becoming a better professional. And I think the biggest thing let's end on this, because I don't even think we talk about it with Alex, but like the VTA Fast Track that you've been doing the last couple of years at Travel Advisor Conference, and some pretty exciting things with VTA Fast Track even this year.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's the evolution of our industry, of the modern travel advisor. The one thing that we all know is that the travel industry, it takes us a long time to actually evolve. But the pandemic, it made us really refocus and be intentional in what we wanted to do. And, with the content and programming, ever since I came on and really understood what it is that had been missing, I mean, look at how our events have been going. We've continuously increased selling out events after events. And for any advisor who hasn't been at one of our events in the last couple of years, I guarantee you it's a different type of animal. We are doing things for you to help you build your business in the best possible way so that you can be confident not only in your product and destination, but also as an entrepreneur. So can't wait for all the people to come out and see who we've got on our lineup. Shadi, what you?
No, no,
Oh,
no, wait. I allied you and you like missed the oop. You slam dunked something else. But I'm gonna say it again. Like, in the past, we've only ever done our VTA Fast Track
oh
at
yeah,
Travel Advisor Conference. And it's this cool moment where you can like pass your VTA in one sitting. Like, we do a different it's the combined courses, one combined test you can sit through. It's like a lot of listening to Peter Labasso talk about law, but it's a great moment where if you've like sort of struggled to get your VTA done and find that time, you can get it done. We've only ever done it at TAC. Last year was the first time we did it
yeah.
something else. So let's talk about that and all the other places that it's happening this year.
Yeah, I mean, we've gone mobile, and that's the best part. We are taking education to you. And like Shadi mentioned before, it was only a tech, but we had a lot of things that we had to refine, refresh to make sure the content, the learnings were up to par, making sure that you understand the learnings and reinforce all the topics that are mentioned in there. But now, last year, we were able to go mobile, go out to these places. We're bringing it to you so that you can have the ability to learn from the course instructor himself, Peter Labasso, and some of our staff members so that you can understand how to apply it, not only learn it, but apply it to your own businesses. So we're going to be launching the VTA Fast Track again at TAC and hopefully at the Caribbean Showcase and other of our ASTA events in 2026. So look out for updates. We're going to be distributing it and communicating it through our TAD and other email options. But yeah, we're super excited because this is going to be a way for us to bridge and unite the industry in a way that we can create standards and really help advisors and consumers understand what a professional travel advisor really means.
And last year we partnered with On Voyage to do a fast track at one of their conferences. We This year we're going to partner with Mast and with Signature, who we're talking to later, to do VTA at fast track at their conferences as well. So if you're an agency owner or you're a host or consortium leader that is listening to this and thinking like, how can I get in on this? Just reach out to Alvin and I. We can make this happen at your event too. We can't do it for like 3 people, but if you've got a group of people that you think need this VTA in a this kind of format, we can work with you. So with that said, we're going to take a quick break here. We'll learn a little bit more about the VTA. But first, I do have one last surprise for the new year. Normally, we would take a commercial break here, and we'll probably play like a short video as we do this. But this is the first ever sponsored episode of the Travel You Can Trust podcast because our sales team at ASTA does some fantastic work. And though we've had some really good partners on with us, no one has like ponied up to keep the lights on in this place. And our first ever sponsored podcast is actually brought to you by the Signature Travel Network, one of our Sapphire level proud partners here at ASTA. Their mission is to serve their members by creating industry-leading technology, marketing, and training programs while building strong preferred partnerships that deliver a distinct travel experience. Through their nonprofit Travel Elevates, they further this mission by serving global communities with positive impact travel. That's not why we had Alex Sharpe on today. We actually had requested him to come on late last year, but it just sort of coincided that one of our sponsored podcasts for 2026 was with Signature Travel Network. So good serendipitous timing to have him on the episode that they are sponsoring. We're going to have a couple more sponsored podcasts later in the year. And if you're interested in sponsoring one of our podcasts to make sure Alvin and I, get to keep our jobs, again, reach out to Alvin and I. We'll be more than happy to take your money. But with that, we're going to take a quick commercial break. And when we come back, we're going to sit down with Alex Sharpe, CEO of Signature Travel Network. See you in a few.
I feel equally as prepared with the VTA to run my travel business as I did as a top producing realtor for 35 years. So to me, if you want to set yourself apart, you need to have a VTA. You need to have this ribbon.
Welcome back to Travel You Can Trust. I'm Alvin Adriano alongside my colleague, Michael Shoddy, and we are truly excited about today's guest. When we talk about leadership, vision, and the people that are leaving a real fingerprint on the travel advisor industry, our guest is absolutely one of those industry leaders. He spent his time and his career strengthening the travel advisor supplier partnerships, finding ways to support travel advisors. He is the person with the biggest swag when he enters the room. Please welcome our guest, CEO of Signature Travel Network, Alex Sharpe. Hey, Alex, how are you doing?
Hey, good, Alvin. How are you? Did you just call me big? What was that intro about? I have the biggest what?
The biggest swag when you enter the room. Definitely the biggest swag, especially.
You're very kind, I think.
I don't know. We've got Shoddy on here. He's got the best, I guess, on stage costume design.
Oh, yes. And costume is the right word.
Yeah, 100%. I have a shtick and the people eat it up. So Alex, we're talking on this episode about industry affairs and the pairing of how suppliers and advisors work together. And so our other guest, John Chernesky, the newly promoted vice president of sales for Norwegian Cruise Lines.
The tall, goofy guy that looks like a bobblehead?
A bobblehead of Conan O'Brien. Yes, that one.
Yes.
The John Chernesky and I did a webinar for our members here at ASTA about them eliminating NCFs. We're going to talk to you a little bit in a moment about that. But you sit on sort of a nice little, you used to work for the cruise lines and now you sit as the CEO of Signature Travel Network. And I think my first question for you is, you love to say from your perch at Signature that you like working with ASTA because we do all the boring stuff you don't want to do. So tell us a little bit about that partnership between Signature and ASTA and how you feel that benefits your owners and advisors in the Signature Network.
I think any good relationship has a little yin and yang, right? My wife doesn't talk much. I talk way too much. She's kind. Some say I'm not, right? And so I do think the fit at ASTA with Signature and with our entire, distribution channel, the travel advisor side of the business, is really, it's a great fit. And I say that, that we don't want to do the boring stuff that ASTA does, a little tongue in cheek, but there is some truth to it. When you think about what ASTA was built to do, advocacy, compliance, training, if you just look at that hey, that's definitely stuff I don't necessarily want to line up to do. The second thing is from a financial perspective, I can't afford to hire, talent like you and Alvin and maybe more importantly, the Peters and Jessies of the world who are doing advocacy and legal stuff, right? I can't to afford to create the coverage. So it makes sense to do it from the center. It's been a wonderful partnership through this so that they understand what we're looking for and vice versa. And I pride myself on trying to keep as few attorneys around me as possible, because that usually gets me in trouble. So it really does. I think it's been I don't know, like a perfect marriage in many, many ways. And it comes back to the collaboration and sharing of a common vision for this industry. And it's worked well.
And there are many days where I talk to you more than I talk to my wife, which kind of fits the analogy a little too well.
Well, Alex, you've worked with us on so many different initiatives. I mean, one of the biggest ones that we've started is professionalizing the travel advisor industry, which can mean a lot of things. I mean, it could mean education, professional development, standard ethics, but ultimately it boils down to consumer trust. So, my question is, what does professionalizing the industry mean to you? And how does Signature really ensure that supporting advisors to reach that higher level of professionalism that our industry desperately needs?
Thanks, Alvin. There's a few ways to look at this. Advisors have been gaining consumer trust for years. This industry has more outside influences than any industry I can think of. There's things that are going to happen to us that we haven't even thought of yet, right? And it feels like we've been through it all in my 30 years. And oftentimes what I tell our advisors is when times are toughest, that's when they earn their stripes. That's when they create those bonds. They create that effect that where people are, giving them referrals and telling their friends how their travel advisor saved them. But if you take a step back, right, that only helps once consumers have made a relationship with a travel advisor in many cases. So how do we get more people, more of the traveling public to embrace the idea of working with a travel advisor? And, especially when you consider that this industry, it's not regulated. There's no licensing. There's none of that. We always, the analogy we use probably far too often is, you need a license to cut my hair or do my wife's nails, but you could sell an around the world cruise for 4 months and have no credentials to do so. So I love what ASTA has been doing and more actively in the last several years around education standards and the VTA program, which I'm sure we'll talk about, and starting to create a credibility layer for advisors that allows them to then translate that to consumers and hopefully, right, garner more trust up front to come in. But this is going to be a slower process than we all want. You all have made tremendous impact and pushing this, but at the same time, it's going to take a greater investment of time and energy from advisors to get more of them into your programs, more of them talking about it. And ultimately, if I'm dreaming, we need partners to say, these are the people you want to deal with. Not just all travel advisors, but travel advisors that do this, that maintain a certain quality level, a certain certification level, that kind of thing. And so we're not quite there yet, but you all are laying the foundation. And if I was a travel advisor, and I would be a very poor travel advisor probably, but if I was a travel advisor, I would want as much of this stuff next to my name to add credibility, because there is a sea of new travel advisors out there, some better than others, some with training, some without. And I want to set myself apart. And that's really what this is all about.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, you actually hit it on the nail. I mean, credentials like the ASTA Verified Travel Advisor Certification Program, it helps raise the bar for advisors. And it also gives consumers, the public, just a clearer picture of what a professional really means. At the end of the day, everyone knows product knowledge, customer service, support. That's all great. But who can you trust? And that's what we don't value as much as we should as advisors, because that level of trust in the information that we hold, the details, the dates, I mean, all of those are so important. And it's hard for us to align those standards if there's not industry-wide adoption. And I know it's going to be a long road, but it's so important because every advisor today faces the burden of fraud or the worst case scenario when it comes to building their credibility and value. So I love what you said about that. Now, I do want to ask, I mean, we still have a lot of ways to go, but for those that are on the fences, whether it's an advisor or supplier, they don't know really how they can support the VTA program. What would you say for them to like get them over that hump?
Well, I do think it's a differentiator. If I was new to the industry, heck, I'd want a broad base of information that's going to keep me in the clear, that's going to help me prepare my business and myself for my business to really excel and limit any risk that there is, or as much risk as I can. But one of the places I'm pushing on within the network is, I've already admitted I wouldn't be a great travel advisor, but I took the VTA course, right? And I passed it, and it was not easy. And I did it quietly in case I didn't pass it, and then no one could make fun of me. But I did pass it. And I tell every one of our advisors, I don't care how long you've been doing this. I don't care how much smarter you are than me or a new advisor. You will learn something through this process. You will help yourself to better protect yourself against fraud, against all these other things, and you'll be more professional as a result, which frankly should be everyone's goal. And so I think as we get more seasoned advisors to do it and their testimonies, and then we get, as I said earlier, we get partners to say, hey, call us or call your travel advisor, or hopefully call your travel advisor or call us. I look for a day where, the VTA, they look at it from a risk perspective and say, a VTA, a verified travel advisor selling my product creates less risk for me as a partner. And therefore, I want consumers to book through verified travel advisors. I don't know, it's only going to take one to break the dam, and then I think it might come. But again, some of these companies are big publicly traded companies that talk about risk all the time. Yeah. What better way to mitigate risk than to ensure that your distribution channel has taken all the necessary steps to be as professional as they can possibly be and protect not just the consumer, but the advisor and the partner in the process.
Love that. Love that.
So moving away from the VTA program, Alex, you also sit on ASTA's board as chair of our consortium council. And every consortium in the industry is a member of that council, is at least invited to that council. And the chair position is those who have over 75% of their members in ASTA. Signature mandates membership. So you sit there with 100% of your members as ASTA members. And we worked on something pretty cool recently where we did a joint industry statement praising Norwegian Cruise Line for their move to eliminate NCFs. Putting aside that news for one more second, because we already talked about it a little, why do you think it's important for the industry to speak on topics like this with one voice?
Yeah. Let's back up for a second, right? The signature decision 10 years ago, I think it is now, to mandate membership certainly was based on not just the trust I had in at that time, the trust was really in Zane and Paul Rudin and that team. But now, ASTA's come so far and they've built such a great overall team and program. But I thought it was very important then. And I will say this, it wasn't the reason we did it, but it felt nice, for a couple of years to be able to pat ourselves on the back and have other people pat us on the back and say, you guys did this and you really helped ASTA. And now look how ASTA's flying. But I want every agency to be, and every independent contractor to be a member of ASTA. Like, that is the goal. This isn't about, well, we do this and look at us. This is about what's best for our industry. And 100% compliance is what our goal should be. And anything that I can do to help us get there, I want to be part of. Now, why is it important? Well, because speaking as one voice, as the distribution channel, is critically important. And it's not from a, we're not talking about a leverage perspective with our partners. Those are our partners, right? But this is speaking in one voice to Congress, speaking in one voice, as we think about regulatory issues, speaking in one voice, in an industry that is unregulated, but where we could potentially, raise the standards of everyone. One of the things that we've talked about in the last several years is there's so many new entrants to the travel advisor industry. And I think that's wonderful. It's created a younger dynamic, a more diverse dynamic and all that. But what we need is for everyone to be professional. What we need is to create that trust within the consumers and the partners that we can provide a service that is above and beyond, that is very professional, that's going to, not only be a great value to the customer, but we create value for our partners. And so I think coming together is the only way we're going to be successful in the long term. If we're fractured, it could fall apart. And so, the consortia council is just a small bit of that. But when we can get people talking about it, and, Shadi, I know you're a parent, I tell my kids stuff and they roll their eyes, right? But their friends tell them, or even the people they compete against tell them, and they think they're the smartest people in the world. So this is about peers talking to each other and me telling other consortia folks how valuable ASTA has been to us and why, and how I and our board were able to sell that to our members. And I think that camaraderie, that unification can happen if we all kind of start working together. So long-winded answer, sorry.
So not only am I a parent, Alvin is single dadding right now. Keisha's like traveling for work, and Alvin's having sock wars with his kids.
Well, I just want to say real quick, Alex, I think that's phenomenal. And as a former advisor myself, I think, the one thing that I've learned being here at ASTA is regardless if advisors are a member or not, we still do the work. But one thing I would question to all advisors that are watching, what would it be like if every advisor, the amount of work that we've done with with resources that we had, imagine if we had every advisor, a unified voice in Congress, in consumer awareness, in standards. I mean, that sets the tone. And I believe, and I love what you said. It takes all different leaders at every different levels to help this industry thrive and survive. So I love that and commend you for saying that.
Oh, you're kind. But I think the nuts and bolts that ASTA has created, you're always going to continue to develop and improve, but the nuts and bolts are there. So the additional membership not only will bring more cohesion in the industry, but would create more revenue for ASTA to then take what we've done and promote it. The things we talked about in your earlier questions, right? To really get it out there and make a big deal about it. Right now, at the level of participation that we have, I mean, I'm on the ASTA board, right? So I hear, I see the financials. We're rubbing nickels together trying to make sure we have enough money to make the right training program, right? This, let alone how do we promote it? How do we do all those other things that we want to do as an industry? So, I will say it kind of upsets me, right? That people get the benefit without being the member, right? It'd be like if I could do that at the gym, right? If I could just not be a member, just maybe drive by it every week and get in better shape, that'd be awesome. But there are big agencies, small agencies, lots of advisors who are not participating in ASTA, and they are getting a free ride. And it upsets me. And part of it is I put that on myself and say, well, how do I do a better job of telling the story of ASTA and spreading the good news so that we can get more and more of them engaged?
So first of all, that is 100% how I interact with my gym membership. Going back to the NCL topic, from an advisor perspective, from your owners, your advisor members, we all get how NCFs affect us. Like the difference between a 7% and a 16% commission is tangible. And it might not be tangible on one cruise, but it's definitely tangible over the year on all of your cruises. And it's definitely tangible over your career when you look back on what you should have made written in your contract. So we get that. But now a supplier is saying that they believe that paying advisors more and being more transparent about what they pay will be good for their business too. And that's a drastically different conversation from the ones we typically have. So do you think that other suppliers should look at this move or could look at this move and come to the conclusion that paying advisors more fairly is good for their bottom line too?
I would say it depends on how advisors react, right? And in the case of NCL and some other partners that are out there that pay and have a transparent commission policy, do they get their unfair share? I think in some cases they do, and we've got to show it now with NCL. Now, look, at the end of the day, the consumer should drive a big portion of what's the right product for that consumer, right? And that's our job, is to first match the consumer with the right product. After that, right, then certainly the economics have got to be right in an advisor's face. How do I make more money? How do I work with folks that want to support me in a stronger way? And so, this industry, we've had our wins and we've had our losses. ASTA had a great win in 24 with American Airlines, right? And we all kind of beat our chests and said, look, we did this, right, as an industry. And it was nice that we came together behind ASTA. And there have been others, but there have been other times when we have not been smart as an industry about how we support and who we support. If you go back to, there's some revisionist history here. You go back to the Renaissance cruise days, and there's some advisors say, yeah, I've had people tell me, well, they tried to go direct and we put them out of business. And I say, no, they built 8 ships in 4 years. They tried to go direct, and then 9/11 happened and they went out of business. I'm not sure we had done enough then. I'm not sure we had done enough at other times to support the partners that support us. And so, again, I always go back to, we got to put the customer on the right product for them. That's first and foremost. That's the way we add and gain credibility. But after that, the economics matter. And so what I'm promoting, as a travel advisor, what I'm recommending, there should be some financial piece to this. And, if I'm NCL, I'm saying, look, this is going to be costly. There's no doubt. There's a real cost to them in doing this. Can I drive more business? And will that more business create a higher rate over time? And, economics 101 says yes, but we have to do the work to get there.
Well, we applaud NCL for thinking about the Travel Advisor channel and figuring out ways that we can keep that relationship going. But there's a topic that in any room that Travel Advisor in comes up almost immediately, and that is hotel commissions. We all understand that hotel commissions have been a long, persistent friction for travel advisors, from delayed payments to inconsistent processes. Now, where do you think we've made progress so far, and how would you like to see the industry do next to really truly solve this problem?
Yeah, it's a frustrating one, I have to say. Again, if you take a step back and look at the macro, we had Signature work with about 30 cruise lines. We performed for them, I think, extremely well, which creates a great relationship, and we don't have issues with slow commissions or non-paying commissions. Tour operators, 70 or 80 tour operators, right? Again, good partners and the rest of it. Hotels, we have 1,350 luxury hotels in Signature. Those 1,350, we don't have any challenge getting our members paid. But we then book another 20 or 30,000 hotels, right? Either it's not a luxury hotel, so it's not in our program, or it's a corporate, or it's in a city in Timbuktu that doesn't, and we have little recourse there. And it's frustrating to me that in this world of, instant pay for everything, it's not done that way for hotels. It's further frustrating that they've been using middlemen through this process, and going back to the topic before on NCFs, like the lack of transparency. When does it get paid to them? When do we get paid? How does this work? How much am I paying you to collect the money that someone owes me? All those things to me are just wrong. And I have to believe in this, world of technology that is moving faster than ever, that there has to be a solution that makes sense. But in the interim to that, I think what ASTA is doing in terms of allowing our members and all travel advisors to report bad actors and get assistance in collection, or with the backdrop of, if not, you're going to go on this list. Because my advisors, gosh, they don't want to waste the time and energy booking a hotel. I don't care where it is. If they can't get paid on it. And if they can't get paid on it, isn't that an indication that maybe their customer's not even going to be taken care of in the right way? So, I'm hopeful, and the early returns have been really strong, what ASTA's been able to do in this space on a limited basis, but it's going to grow. It's going to continue to grow. And I think we're going to see hotels get more in line while we work on a better, longer term, simpler solution than beating them over the head and telling them to pay the darn commission.
Right. And until they do, we will continue to beat them over the head, because there is one
Gives
of my
you something to do, Shoddy.
It does. It's really all I do. No, that's actually Peter Labasso. We've mentioned him a couple of times. Alvin's boss gets to wield that stick. One of my favorite applause lines, and you kind of alluded to it, is I love to say that we have this crazy notion at ASTA that our members should get paid fairly and on time for the work they do. Like, in crazy in air quotes. It's not so crazy. Like, it shouldn't matter to us and to our members what your system talking to someone else's system can or cannot do. Our members did the work. They should get paid. Like, period. Every other industry works that way. Our industry is the only industry that has excuses. So we also have we talked about NCFs, which is a transparency issue. We've talked about hotel commissions. We also have a timely commission statement that you and I have been working on with our consortium council, with others at ASTA. What does it mean for the average advisor in your network, the average ASTA member, to not get paid in a timely fashion for the things that they do every day? And how do we change supplier behavior here?
Yeah. It's frustrating because, I'm sure the team at ASTA makes sure you guys get paid every other week or whatever your cadence is. And God knows if I didn't get paid, I don't know that I would notice on day one, but my wife would notice immediately because she's the finance person. To me, it's just so wrong to think about someone doing work and not getting paid in a timely manner. It is not acceptable anywhere else in the world. And the days of yesteryear, when travel advisors and travel agency owners in many cases were hobbyists, right? Didn't matter. It was their ticket to, seeing the world and all the rest of it. Now we have so many business people. This is their livelihood. This is how they pay their kids' tuition, put food on the table, and all the rest of it. How do you expect to grow this industry, to get more people engaged in becoming a travel advisor? There's already this huge lag time between when I sell and when I get paid. And now you're going to pay me late too in some cases. Like the whole piece, to me, if we can fix this issue, the sky's the limit. Not only can we recruit more advisors to come to the industry, but real professionals, right? Not just folks that are doing it. And part-time's not a bad thing, but I would say hobbyists, right? That aren't, that are doing it maybe for some of the wrong reasons. We can get true professionals, and we are, but it's harder. It shouldn't be this hard to get people to come to an industry that creates this kind of value, life value and financial value when done correctly. But the lead time it takes to get paid and then this chasing of my paycheck is just total BS.
And it's something that we talk about so often. I would not do the job that I do if I was just helping advisors plan trips so that they could see the world. I would not feel motivated to get up every day if that was everything in a travel advisor's world. Margot's sitting on the background, our producer listening. She worked with Bloomberg on a story about people leaving finance to come to plan travel because it is a lucrative profession. And so I do what I do and you do what you do. Alvin does what he does to put food on the table, to help, my kid wants to go to college. I need to pay for that eventually. Your kids are starting that journey. So I think that's so awesome because the sooner we fix this issue, the sooner we can stop talking about sort of the problem with hobbyists, that the problem with this idea that it's only to sort of pay for your next vacation by booking travel, and the more people sort of see it as a true way to make your livelihood, which it is for so many.
All right. Oh, we have and ASTA's leading the charge, but we have an obligation to continue to professionalize this industry. And as I get older and start thinking about life after my career, that's something I want to leave behind, right? And it won't be because of Alex, but it'll be maybe in very small part because of the contributions we've all made. And I think we owe it to this incredible industry that's provided so well for us.
Yeah, I feel as an industry baby, someone that's grown up in this industry, it's a responsibility that we have. I mean,
you're calling us old too? Is that what you're doing, Alvin?
No. But it just feels like, I mean, we talk about the relationships we have, not only with suppliers or clients, but within the industry. There's a responsibility for us to make sure that the next generation has these same opportunities, can see the world and make these bridges, connect these communities together. But with that, Alex, I do want to end on something that's really, really inspiring, because we talk about it all the time, but that travel isn't just transactions or logistics or airfare. It's about connection, and it's about opening the doors and sometimes making a real big difference. Now, Signature's work through Travel Elevates and initiatives like Pack with a Purpose really show that travel can be a force for good. How does that mission help the industry tell a bigger story? One that really connects travel advisors, not to trips, but really to communities, to culture, to people, and above that, positive impact beyond the journey itself.
Yeah. I like the nonprofit work, and I love Travel Elevates and what we've created there. And sometimes, I think people misunderstand what our focus is, right? I've got, hey, Alex, that's nice. You're doing charity work. And I said, look, there's no doubt that I want a soft pillow in heaven someday, right? And if this helps me get there, awesome. But there are great commercial reasons to be doing this, because we know beyond a shadow of a doubt, when somebody experiences a destination in a deeper, more meaningful way, the joy they get from it is greater. The feedback the advisor gets is better. The repeat referral rates higher. All those things happen, right? So if I knew that going in, right, why wouldn't I try and incorporate something into every single vacation? And the fact of the matter is, when you flip it around and think about it from a partner's perspective, the partners are doing incredible work in destination, right? Again, there's a commercial reason to do it. If you're opening a safari lodge in Kenya, you don't want a bunch of guys that look like the three of us working at the safari lodge, do you? You want locals. You want Kenyans, right? You want the culture. You want to translate that. But you can't do it if you don't have the right schools, if you don't have the right training program, right? You're not going to get the support of the community if you're not finding ways to get them employed, right? And that could be teaching a group of them to use a commercial sewing machine, and they're making the uniforms or whatever it is. It all comes together in the story that the partner is doing. The challenge and the opportunity, the challenge of the partners is most of them suck at patting themselves on the back and telling their own story. Because they don't want it to come across, they're humble. They don't want to come across as, look what we're doing for the local community, right? But as travel advisors, we have the unique perspective to tell the stories, to say why, I love Royal Caribbean because they do X, Y, and Z. Whenever there's a disaster, they come to the rescue. Or this safari camp does this. Or this hotel in Dominican Republic supports these two schools. And people want to buy from companies that do good work, right? They want to also, by the way, they want to work for companies that do good work, right? I would say over half of the people, and I talked to every new coworker at Signature on day one. And one of the things I talked to them about is Travel Elevates. And I would tell you half of them, before I can get it out of my mouth, say, that's the reason I'm here, Alex. I'm here because of the work you guys are doing and the meaning that it brings to my job. I've had people that have applied 3, 4, 5 times for jobs at Signature because they want to be part of what we're doing at Travel Elevate. So there's so many good reasons to do this. And then at the end of the day, we know customers have a better time and we're giving back in the communities. And, I won't get political, but this world is crazy right now. There's so much animosity and so much us versus them. And there's no better, anecdote as I know there's a couple of famous quotes, but anecdote for, this divisiveness than getting to know other cultures and experiencing them. And so that's really what we're all about. I'm excited. The ASTA River Cruise Expo, we're doing a Pack for a Purpose event there. We're going to encourage a Signature ASTA, or I should say Travel Elevates and ASTA, are going to encourage every advisor to bring supplies. And there's going to be more information on that, but we're going to help the locals there. We're going to give back. They're going to feel good about our industry. We're going to feel good about what we were able to contribute. And the world will be a better place, and we can sing Kumbaya or something together later.
So I think in terms of being political or not, the world is crazy right now may be the most bipartisan statement that has ever been said on this podcast or any podcast. We all agree, no matter what you're
Yes.
And Alex Sharpe for president, clearly. I don't want to leave because we're talking about this this idea about breaking down barriers, seeing destinations in a deeper way. Alex, just you had the most beautiful social post, and I'm not talking about you diving into chilly Arctic waters. But a few months ago,
my shirt off is never a great social post, just so we're clear.
A few months before that, you were in Brazil and you hopped in a cab, and that social post darn near made me cry. So tell us a little bit about that experience and your experience. I think Rio, correct?
Yeah, I was in Rio for Carnival with a partner and had an afternoon free, and I did, something really cool, which was a helicopter ride over Rio, which was spectacular. And the driver said, "Well, I have 2 hours left with you. What do you want to do?" And I said, "Let's go to favela and see." And I said, "Or can we? Is that okay? Are we going to be okay?" And he said, "Oh yeah, it'll be great." And that was the first thing, right? Is breaking down that barrier. If we can't go there, we're going to get killed, right? He says, "I do it every week. Come with me." And the alarming thing was we pulled up and it is chaos, going up that mountain, and all this traffic and people and everything. And then he literally valet parked his car. He gave his keys to this young lady and said, "Look after this for me." And we started walking, and we ended up at a little after school thing. They were teaching dance and art, and I got an hour and got to spend it with the kids, talking to them. And by the way, the greatest view in all of Rio was from that place, from the balcony that they were teaching these kids in the middle of this slum. And, anytime you're around kids, right? The purity and the, just kind of none of it's normal to them, right? And just the smiles and the love, and they were dancing, and they were and they had some incredible artwork, some of which hangs in my house today. But it was, as always, very fulfilling. But I came home with stories to tell. And when people say, "Ooh, you went to Rio, is that safe?" And I could say, absolutely, like any city, right? You got to be smart about how you do it and when you do it. But I did this. And if you don't think in some indirect way that doesn't open up travel to more people wanting to go to Rio and feeling good about that and giving back, then I don't think we're paying attention, right? So it was good. And thanks for bringing that up. There's so many great examples of what we get to do every day. And that was a fun one for sure.
Love it. And love the message. Love, you easily could do my job for me 10 times better every day. But really good example of why we love talking to you and why we loved the idea of having you on this podcast. So that's all the time we got. You got anything else for the audience out there?
No, just thank you. Join ASTA. And if you're already a member of ASTA, engage in VTA and all the great programs they have. You won't regret it. It's going to up your game. It's going to make you a better advisor. It's going to protect you, and will grow this industry and deliver great work.
All right. Thanks so much, Alex. We will be right back after this.
Professional certification is priceless in this industry. There's a lot of people who say they're a travel agent, travel professional, but you want someone who's verified, someone who has the knowledge, the skills, and I've had 30 years in the business. So that's a priceless thing to have someone with so much knowledge in an ever-changing world.
It's an exclusivity type of thing. I want to be credentialed. I want to show that I have a mastery of professionalism, and that I feel like really sets me apart.
My business did see an increase in sales, and I think that has a lot to do with attracting more clients who are comfortable seeing that I have a VTA designation.
Understanding from the ASTA training just how important it is to cover yourself, and ASTA really took me through like how important terms and conditions are, errors and omissions insurance, things that I never had to worry about before. And I feel so much better. I sleep a lot better at night knowing that my business is taken care of and my personal being and my family are taken care of.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much for your patience. My name is Andrea Caulfield. I am Director of Membership Engagement with ASTA, and I want to welcome you today to our town hall. Before we get started, I do want to review a few of our housekeeping items. We will be answering questions at the end of this presentation. To ask a question, you will use your GoToWebinar pane. Near the bottom, it says questions. Please address your questions there. If you are having trouble hearing your presentation, please make sure your speakers are turned on, or if you called in, try hanging up and dialing back in. You can send me any technical issues you are having by that same question pane. Please note all the audience members are muted. We certainly do want to hear from you, but we have so many people on the call, we want to make sure there is no background noise that would be prohibitive to everyone hearing the presentation this afternoon. Finally, we are recording this town hall, and we should have this up on asta.org within 3 to 5 business days. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to our presenters today. Michael Shoddy, he's Vice President of Membership Marketing and Communications here with ASTA, and John Chernesky with NCL. So welcome, gentlemen. If you want to come on and show your lovely, handsome faces, we're happy to have you today.
Thank you so much, Andrea. Thanks, John, for joining us. And thanks, everyone, for your patience. We had a little trouble. I'm going to blame some combination of snow. Verizon, I know, has been down. We've got some internet issues going on everywhere. So certainly wasn't, John trying to do anything funny.
No.
I was worried we were going to have to break out the tin cans. That was at one point, it was this close to grabbing the tin cans. But thanks, John, for joining us. This is a monumentous, I think, moment for the travel industry, and I'm glad to get to talk to you about it, because it's something ASTA's been working on for a while. And so let's just start off with the big picture sort of item. What exactly have you guys changed when it comes to non-commissionable fares?
Yeah, thanks, Michael, and thanks, everybody. And sorry again for the delay in getting this going. I blame myself and my computer. I even restarted it, but that didn't help. Anyway, It is a pleasure to be here, and I think for us at Norwegian Cruise Line, the decision was a big one that we felt helped solve a few problems that we had been dealing with over the last year or so. And, I like to say that in order to solve a problem, you have to know you have a problem. And the feedback from the travel advisor community, whether it be an owner or frontline advisor, host, franchise, you name it, was loud and clear that Houston, we had a problem with our effective commission. And when we set out to solve it, there were some tweak around the edges ideas, and then we decided to go big. And the big change is eliminating NCFs. That was effective December 26th of last year, 2025. And it's effective for all new bookings sailing May 1st onwards, all the way forward into our published itineraries.
So I want to follow up on that too, because some people in our audience, now obviously if you're clicking on this webinar, if you're signing up, you're going through our processes, or even some of your audience are here, so maybe first time they've ever been on an ASTA webinar. Not everyone might know exactly what you talked about there when you talked about that problem. So when we talk about your effective commission rate, when we talk about non-commissionable fares, can you elucidate a little bit for us, like what exactly you were hearing that caused you to sort of realize you had that problem?
Yeah, so let me go real basic. So let's say you're a brand new travel advisor and you're like, what the heck are NCFs? I don't even know what that is. Let me explain it in simple terms, which is perfect because I'm a simple thinker. NCFs are non-commissionable fare items. So if you have a $1,000 cruise fare, Norwegian might have said, you know what, $300 of that is non-commissionable. So you're only going to earn your commission on the $700 remaining. So imagine if that's the case, and then let's say that price might drop, like if we're closer in and we had to fill a voyage and the price comes down to $800, well, the NCF amount may or may not have come down as well. So your commissionable fare might have shrunk even further. Bottom line, when we talk about effective commission, there are portions of the cruise fare that are commissionable, and then there are portions of things that are not, in Norwegian's case. And so you might have bought certain things for your clients that may or may not have been commissionable. And when you look at the total amount that your client is paying, let's say included airfare or whatever, and you then do a calculation that says my net commission was, I'm supposed to earn 15% because my agency is a big agency and we do a lot of business with Norwegian. Why am I only getting 9%, in the total amount? So that's what I mean by effective commission. And so by eliminating the NCFs, we take away this pain point and this frustration of, well, I'm selling the cruise, why am I not getting the full value of the amount? And that's really what we're trying to solve.
And that really dovetails with a lot of things that ASTA has been talking about over the course of the year, where we, sort of have drawn a line in the sand and have said, we want our members to be paid for the work they do on time. And we really have been focused on that on time part for a while. And the feedback we were getting specifically about NCFs is, we sell so much cruise, we're not necessarily worried about the on time part, specifically to cruises, because you guys tend to pay relatively soon, but that effective commission rate when you're expecting a certain amount and it's significantly less, like you're talking about, that becomes way more of a problem. It's a problem for small agencies really depending on those checks, and it's a problem for big agencies and networks that do so much cruise that all of a sudden they're seeing a large amount in that percentage. So from your perspective, you sort of talked about the problem, knowing you had a problem. Why was this the time to do it, and why, John, why was it right before Christmas?
Yeah, I mean, why on earth would you announce anything right before the Christmas holidays? Because most people aren't attached to their computer and they're spending time with family and friends. And, I ended up hosting a webinar, I think on December 23rd, to announce this because it went live the day after Christmas. And as dumb as that might sound, there was some madness, science to the madness, whatever the method to the madness, because we really wanted to, we knew it would be a limited audience, but we also knew we wanted to put our stake in the ground and say, as we head into Wave, and as we're now in January and the busiest booking month of the year, we wanted to get the attention and the momentum rather than waiting until like doing it right now. And so it was really, because we knew that, listen, the travel advisor community is big. There are tens of thousands of you all out there. And just because I send an email out doesn't mean everybody reads it, on my own team, let alone in the travel advisor
You are
community.
preaching to the choir, my friend. Preaching to the choir.
So you've got to repeat it, and you got to start it early. And, I've been hosting a number of webinars since we launched it. And I've asked the audience, I said, how many times do you think, if you're a TV ad and a Norwegian ad is on the TV, how many times do people have to see that before they take action and think, oh, that looks like a good, thing. I want to go on vacation with Norwegian. I think the studies show that it's about 7 times people have to see that commercial before they really remember it and take action. So the earlier we started communicating, the more we got the message out. We still have work to do, and it's why we're here today to kind of help get the message out and answer questions and get clarity out there. So that's why.
Yeah, as one of the marketing dudes here at ASTA, I'll tell you that 7 is an old number, because that 7 came from a time frame when we weren't scrolling on our phones 24/7. So it's actually worse with our ADHD. So one of the big questions we've gotten repeatedly since we've done some stuff on ASTA's end, we've communicated this to our members, is we've heard, okay, what's different because Norwegian did this once. So sort of take us back a couple of years ago when you paused or did sort of an NCF holiday, and what's different this time around.
Yeah. So when I joined Norwegian about 3 years ago, almost 3 years ago, and feels like 10 for most of you, I'm sure, because you're like, John, would you shut up? You talk so much. It's been long. So 3 years ago, we set out to become the easiest cruise line to work with. And we knew that was a bold statement, but it was a North Star moment for us to establish that as a goal, because we realized that the travel advisor community works with many suppliers and many partners, not just cruise, land resorts, air, you name it, right? And people will take the simple path. It's human nature. I'm the same way. I want things simple. I want things easy. I don't want it complicated. And so we set out and had a number of problems to solve, and we've gotten much better over the years. And the long answer to your simple question, but when I joined Norwegian, we had a program where commission was paid on NCFs, and we took that away about 6 months into my tenure with the company, and for various reasons. But the problem with that old program was that it was your agency had to sign up, submit a marketing plan, commit to the program, commit to growth. You could only get the commission on the NCF amount if it was outside of 120 days and on a balcony and up. So it was there was hoops you had to jump through and things you had to understand, and it wasn't clear to the advisor am I going to earn the commission on this? Does this qualify? So when we had that history, and that's why when we reintroduced this in late December, we wanted it to be as simple as possible. And that's why now it's a very different program. You don't have to do anything other than book us for a voyage May 1st and onwards, because we have eliminated the NCF line and it just goes away.
So I'm asking about sort of the specifics here, and we got a specific question in the chat that I want to ask. So you said for sailings, say it again, for sailings, May 1st 1. And onward.
Yep, for new bookings.
If they're for new bookings. So if someone currently has a sailing for May 1st and onward, the effective commissionable rate will apply, but it's for new bookings, May 1st and onward. Okay, so if you're in the audience,
any booking made December 26th onwards, for a new booking May 1st onwards, you get the NCF amount is removed. If you have an old booking, let's say you made it last summer and your client is sailing this summer, the NCF amount will remain, and we will not be able to grandfather or go back in time. Now, please bear with me on that. There was a lot of work to get this done. It's a huge cost that we are managing, and we think it's the right investment to make. Please do not game the system by canceling and rebooking. If you do that, I'll be serving you coffee at your next time through Starbucks. So I really appreciate your help with that.
Perfect. So you've talked a little bit about some of the reasons why, but I want to ask specifically what's some of the feedback you were hearing from travel advisors about, you've mentioned wanting to be the easiest to work with. And you mentioned sort of hearing some of those things about the effective commission rate. Tell us some of that feedback. What was what were the things that you were hearing that sort of pricked your conscience and said, like, we've got to change this?
Yeah. It was clear to me that there were a number of advisors who really like the Norwegian product. They love sailing on NCL. They think it's right for their clients. And at the end of the day, listen, you've got to do what's right for your clients, 100%. That's why you're there, to make your clients happy and give them a great vacation experience. We hope it's on Norwegian, but at the end of the day, you've got a lot of options, and we know your clients may have specific, requests. But when I hear from advisors that I'd love to sell you, but I need to make money, I just can't afford to sell you guys right now. I mean, that hit me hard, because I respect the work, whether you're a full-time advisor or you're a teacher during the day and you do this on the weekends, and, God help you doing that, managing multiple things in your life. I love it. I love that spirit, love that entrepreneurship. It really hit home that, we needed to be better business partners. And so I think hearing those, and I would also say that if it were not for the specific sharing of information, that many advisors would come to us and say, here's your, look at your invoice and look at what I'm earning, and giving that information back to us and making sure it was clear to us that we were not the most profitable. That combination of all those things really helped push us over the edge and say, we've got to make this change. And, the reality is we need the trade more than ever. The value of the guests you all bring, the importance of our relationship, we cannot be successful if you're not successful. And that may sound like a cliche, but it's really true. And we're not, it's not like we're reducing our capacity. We're not having less ships come on. We're having more ships. We have more capacity. We need you. Like, we're in a growth period, and we think we have a lot to offer. We want you on our side, and we decided to make that decision.
So, still preaching to the choir. Those are all things we sort of say from our main stages. But you said something that very much sounded like, last week ASTA did a statement that was signed on to by industry leaders from around the travel world, and it said something that it was very reminiscent of what you just said, that like, you should know what your commercial partnerships look like. And you use that phrase partnerships, and you said that you were getting that data. Like, our stance as ASTA, like, we're not telling anyone to go sell one company or another ever, but you should, as an advisor, be smart enough to know what your commercial relationship looks like on paper, but also in practice.
Yep.
And I think that's what, you guys maybe had a certain sense of how good of a partner you were, but down the food chain a little bit, as decisions were made, you had to be told, and you had to work with it. And it's refreshing to hear that you valued your role in making sure that partnership was equitable.
Yeah, and I'll give a lot of credit to, and I'm going to guess, of the 490 or so people who are on this call right now, that a good chunk of you are working for a host or a franchise, that you're an independent advisor, you work for in that model. I'm just guessing. I'm going to say probably 70% of you are from that world. And your parent agencies, your host agencies, have done a really good job, I think, of pushing out a number of tools that allow you to see the profitability for each of the partners that you work with. So kudos to them, as business intelligence expands and it makes it easy for people to see. I think you're right, Michael, that you have to do what's right for your clients, but at the end of the day, you also need to run your business. And by knowing the profit of each of your actions that you take, each of the bookings you make, is only good for you moving forward.
So let's address, I think, maybe the biggest elephant in the room, other than the when, because I had to take my Santa outfit off and write some emails. But this is a business, not a charity. You're running a business. These advisors run businesses. ASTA's a nonprofit business. Like you mentioned earlier about some investments you're making. How can Norwegian afford this move? Like if this is putting more money into advisors' pockets, that's also taking money out of Norwegian. So how are you guys affording this move?
The easiest way for us to afford this, which thankfully we didn't do, was to cut my hair gel budget. Because I think if we had done that, we could have just funded the whole thing overnight. But thankfully, I have to look great like I am right now, and I'm having a fantastic hair day. But I kid. The reality is, we had a meeting with our about 30 agency representatives were at a meeting in New York City, middle of the month of December, and we sat in a room with them. They're our advisory board, And we floated this concept, this idea that we were going to go big, that we were going to eliminate NCFs. And in order to afford that, we had to make some changes on the commercial side of a groups program that not many of you listening in even know about or take advantage of. It's part, you might, but I'm just saying on average, your focus on groups with us is our affinity group program, which is best in class. It's a great place for you to, a great way for you to grow your business by getting small groups together, whether it be family reunions or weddings or you name it. And it's a great way to earn money and give value back to your clients. On the speculative side, it's more of a way for agency headquarters to block space, hold it, hope, like let's say we just, we release itineraries into 28. And so you can hold that space, and let's say that cruise is $1,000, and over time it becomes $1,500. Well, you then have that price gap, and you can sell that for either $1,000 or $1,200 or $1,400. You can then profit that difference or give it back to your client, however. And in reality, if you think about it, like, why would you ever sell something for less than it's worth? You get more commission the more you sell it for. If the client's willing to pay $1,500, then clearly, if the market is bearing $1,500, then you should sell it for that. And so what we're going to do is basically still allow the program to happen, but it's going to be less focused on the price advantage, price gap. You still earn TCs on it, but that gap in the price makes a huge difference. And ultimately, along with a couple other minor things we're doing, is going to fund kind of the increase in cost that we see. If we also happen to gain some more attention from you and more bookings, then clearly that, helps. I love that I'm getting a spam call from my phone over there. I'm going to hang up on that one. And I think, all that stuff added up, what we expect in terms of, hopefully some increased focus from you, but then saving some money on that price advantage situation. You're still going to be able to sell us into those groups if that's part of your business model and earn your TCs. But at the end of the day, we think this is a much cleaner way of you guys understanding how much you're going to earn from us. And now let's go sell Norwegian.
Okay, so you brought up the affinity program. Changes happening to the affinity program?
We're going to adjust slightly the TC, but it's still going to be best in class. It's going to be by far the best in class. And you also then, that's actually where you do get a price advantage, because if depending on how far out you hold your affinity group space, you can earn up to 15% savings on the cruise fare, and you hold it. And then you can add more space to it later on. But our affinity group program is best in class and really allows you to, all you need is, 5, 6 cabins to make that a reality, and away you go.
You mentioned a few other minor changes. I know you had mentioned earlier to me that, you've got some other people you need to communicate those to first, but when do you expect the full on plan? When do you expect to be able to communicate that to everybody?
Yeah, I would hope in the next couple of weeks we'll have this dialed in, but the reality is for 99% of the people listening in here, the Frontline Advisor, any booking you make that's May 1st onwards right now, you qualify for no NCFs. And there's some complexities around groups. Like if you open group space last year, what do I do about that? And I've done webinars on that. So go to our Facebook page for Norwegian. Our partnership, Partners First page is fantastic. You can see some of the old recordings there. And I'm still doing a series of webinars for a number of our partners over the coming weeks to help explain it. But it's pretty clear, and we're in this transition phase, but pretty soon it'll be just a standard operating procedure.
And any of those webinars on hair care at all?
No, they couldn't. My agent couldn't negotiate a good deal. It was just, I was asking for too much and they wouldn't pay it. So nothing on hair care. Forehead care, as my forehead gets bigger with each passing day, but yeah, it's fantastic.
So as you're doing all of this, you're also doing you're bringing back the why it's different here tagline, or different out here tagline.
Different out here,
yep. Back free at C+ and paying commissions on that. So
yep.
Tell us a little bit about your decisions about those. Is that also, addressing some pain points? And then what's the impact of that investment both for you guys and for the advisors listening?
Yeah, I think as we launch this new brand campaign, it's going to be, and it's an old tagline that was used, 30 something years ago. It's different out here, and our goal is allowing from a guest perspective and from your perspective as a travel advisor, and you know, we set the North Star as easy, curated, and flexible. Those are the things we want people to experience on their vacation on Norwegian. That's our goal. We want it to be easy, we want it to be flexible, and then you can do whatever it is you want, whether you want to be very actively involved or just relax and, you know, and have the staff to do their amazing work. And the brand campaign is very different. Like, it's going to stick out, and that's the idea. And so we're trying to really draw or drive awareness, drive demand. Your phones or email inboxes hopefully fill up, and then people want to take their vacations with us. In terms of the no NCFs puts more money in your pocket, but then also you have the bundles that we offer, both free at sea and free at sea plus. So free at sea is the basic package, which is the Wi-Fi minutes, the amazing beverage package, the unlimited beverage package, premium drinks, specialty dining, Shorex credit, and then possibly third or fourth berth free, or BOGO air, depending if you want to do that with your client. So that's kind of the basic. And you all said every year we do a survey, travel advisor survey, 6,000 of you last summer voted and said we have the best value bundle package in the business with free at sea. But it's not perfect. And it's not, a lot of people want more out of it. They want to have more elements included. And so we launched free at sea plus in November. And what that allows for is unlimited streaming Wi-Fi, bottled water, Starbucks, prepaid gratuities included. If you go to Great Stirrup Cay or Private Island, you have drinks there. Additional dining nights and especially restaurants are 50% off. And then premium beverages like champagne by the glass, all that's included. And that, which is $50 a day per person, is commissionable. The base free at sea is currently not commissionable, but free at sea plus is. And so if you think about the ultimate way to give value to your client, I'm a little biased, but I think the combination of free at sea and free at sea plus, which on average is about $90 a day. If you compare free at sea, which is 40, free at sea plus is 50, $90 a day, you get all the things I just mentioned. There are other cruise lines who charge that just for their drink package each day. We think we want more people to experience these amazing opportunities between the Wi-Fi and water and gratuities and all that stuff paid in advance. You get commission on the free at sea plus. It's something you should be talking to your clients about. And actually, we have reporting coming out as we speak that tells you which of my clients have already booked that don't have that I could call, because now I get some commission out of it. And we think can I give you some math on commission earned now and how much we're talking about, Michael?
I literally am looking at a question that came from the chat that I was going to ask you, but I wasn't 100% sure if I could ask the math question or if you needed to phone a friend. So yes, give me some math. Okay.
So it depends on the destination, and it depends on, the voyage length and the booking window and all that. But I'll give you a couple examples that we just ran. There was an Alaska cruise in the summer that we looked at, and we said, what if you had NCFs or you didn't have NCFs, and what is the difference? And the difference in the commission rate, I'm not talking free at sea, I'm just talking getting rid of NCFs, was a 24% increase in your commission. We then looked at a Caribbean sailing, which, while the dollar amount was smaller because it's a lower priced product, it was a 34% increase in your commission. So if you're talking like a 20 to 30% increase in your commission check, I didn't get a 24% or 30% increase in my pay as we moved into the new year, but I would love that. But for you guys, you now have that. And then if you add on free at sea plus on the Alaska example, because you had two people in the cabin, they were both, $50 a day, $700, and whatever your agency commission. So if your agency is getting 15% of that $700 goes in your pocket. In total, your increase was like a 46%, I think, payout in your commission. So the no NCF plus now free at sea plus, it's a nice increase in your bottom line.
Now, in terms of, you brought something up earlier that wasn't commissionable. In terms of being easier to work with, are there tips or tricks or things that advisors should know when they're booking your product so that they're not surprised by maybe booking something for their client that ends up not being commissionable?
Are you asking in terms of what elements are and what elements are not?
Correct. Which elements are there clear indicators? Now that you've sort of said no NCFs, an advisor could hypothetically go in, book something that isn't commissionable. because it's not really, wasn't really an NCF, it was just a non-commissionable addition or whatever you guys, however you guys are talking about those. How clear is that, and how are you making it clear?
Yeah, I mean, it should be pretty clear. And there's certain things like, travel protection, which is going to be a 10% commission you get. And I know a lot of agencies have partnerships with third-party insurance companies, which, by the way, we'd love it for you to buy Norwegian Care. We think it's best in class from a travel insurance provider. But if you don't take that, that's fine. But please talk to your clients and make sure they have travel protection. That's just my shameless plug for that. In today's day and age, with all that can go wrong with travel and flight delays and what have you, trust me, that is something you want to be talking to your clients about. But then there's, things like, shore excursions, we're not going to pay a commission on, but we're going to pay on a cruise tour at a 10% rate. So it depends on the item, Michael. And I think it's pretty clear when you make the booking what you're going to earn. We try and do a good job of explaining that. But the good news is the bulk of the cost that your clients are paying, which is the cruise fare, and then the bundle, especially with Free at Sea Plus, is at the rates we talked about.
Fantastic. And for everyone listening, for the record, it is also the stance of your trade association that you also sell, travel protection, travel insurance, to work with those providers, whoever it is, because providing great customer service starts with that level of protection.
Absolutely.
So, a couple of questions more on business impact. So, you mentioned about wanting a little bit more attention from advisors and hoping that this resolves in this, and not working at Starbucks. What do you believe that this change, sort of in all the changes, the new branding, the Free at Sea Plus, the commission on that, the no NCFs, what do you think that should do to an advisor's confidence when selling NCL?
Well, hopefully the confidence goes, sky high, like that you have that faith in what we're doing. You trust the process. It's clear to you. You see the increase in your invoicing and what you're earning with us. You talk to your client. The whole NCF thing has nothing to do with your client's experience or what they pay. It's only about how much you are profiting. Okay. But the most important thing for your clients is that you're getting them out there. You're not, they're not vacationing, right? That they're using their limited vacation time in the year, hopefully sailing with Norwegian to so all the destinations that we go to. They're having a good time when they're on board. And by getting the Free at Sea and Free at Sea Plus, trust me, their guest satisfaction is going to be sky high, and they're going to want to rebook. And so I think a combination of all the things we're doing, the new ships we have coming online, the millions of dollars that we spend investing in refurbishing our existing fleet, the money we're putting into Great Stewart Cay to make it the best private island out there, all the great things we have going on. In fact, we have 18 home ports that your clients can drive to if they don't want to get on a plane. All the great positive momentum we have. We just hope that the business continues to grow with our amazing travel advisor partners, and that you have confidence in us. And we continue to evolve. We're not done. We had an easy rating this year of A. We were A students, Michael. We weren't the very best. We were right up there with the best of the best. So we went from C students 3 years ago to A students. We want to be A++. We're not done. We know our work is not done. And so keep giving us feedback on what we can do to make it better. But we think we've got a lot of positive momentum, and you have that confidence that it's consistent and easy, and away you go.
Well, from a C student to an A student, you said something that I do kind of disagree with, but then you said the thing that I would say to disagree with it, that when an advisor has more confidence in selling your product and provides sort of that best-in-class customer service that you're providing and that an advisor provides, I do think that affects the client's experience. I do think clients enjoy a trip more that their advisor believed in selling, just very naturally. It might not feel as tangible, but we did have a question in the chat very specifically about the client experience that I want to ask you about. Are you raising the prices of all the cruises to cover this?
The cost of the cruises is not going up to cover this, but I do hope the cost of the cruises goes up. And here's why. I think we are undervalued relative to the experience. And if you were to look at the cost of going to Alaska or Europe or to the Caribbean, Bermuda, Hawaii, whatever, all the amazing places we go to, and you compare that to what it would cost to do a land trip or do it independently, my God, it's no comparison. And I think our goal is to, through great marketing, great brand awareness, great guest experience, which leads to referrals. Let's not forget, the most powerful form of marketing out there is referrals. If Michael comes back from his cruise, actually, I'll twist it around. 2 years ago, my family and I went on Norwegian Prima, and we sailed out of Southampton, England, up to Bruges, Amsterdam, and then 3 ports in Norway, 3 ports in Iceland. I came back from that trip. I was in a haven, so I was spoiled. Had a wonderful time. I talked to multiple friends and family, and many of those friends and family booked that cruise the next year because they heard from me. They didn't go onto a site or look at broad marketing or get an email. They just heard from somebody who was passionate about the trip, shared pictures, and boom, I sold many from that, my own personal storytelling. So I would encourage all of you that yes, the guests are going to have a better time with us now. Our service scores continue to rise.
And don't you wish your full commission had been like? Don't you wish you had gotten a higher commission rate on those? Like,
well, I got 0% commission because I'm not a travel advisor. But yes, I hear what you're saying. And I think that don't ever hesitate to leverage the stories of your clients and selling the product that they just went on, because that is so powerful. And I would also say we're going to do a much better job. We have not been the best at this. We're going to get better at this year with more seminars at sea, because the more opportunities you all have to sail with us and get training and just experience the product, step foot on Great Stirrup Cay, experience it, you then go away motivated. And so if you haven't already been invited to attend a seminar at sea, raise your hand and we'll do our very best to accommodate many of you. But it is, we only have so many opportunities, but we're going to take full advantage of that. Yeah. Put your hand down, Michael.
Also not an advisor. So we're almost wrapping up here. We're running out of time. But what message do you think this sends about Norwegian's commitment to the advisor community, to transparency, to partnership, all these things that we're talking about?
Listen, this 2026 is the year of Partners First, the 15th anniversary of that program that we introduced 15 years ago, which was our way of connecting with travel advisors from a training, awareness, education, investment, recognition. And what better way in this 15th anniversary of Partners First than to do the things we've just done, to make these changes, to make it more profitable to sell us, make it more easier to sell us, and motivate you, hopefully, to talk to your clients and consideration of, I'm thinking of going to Alaska. Who should I sail with? We really hope you recommend Norwegian or Europe or Caribbean or Bermuda, all the great places we go. And I just hope that it's a good takeaway that we believe in you, we value you, we want to reward you, and we thank you for your partnership.
I've got one last question for me, but John, you got a couple of minutes to stay around for some questions from the audience too?
Sure,
Perfect.
No problem.
All right, my last question, and you sort of mentioned, a takeaway, but if advisors take away just one key message, like if you can just stand on your soapbox and say one thing to the entire advisor community, because I think they're all here by now, what do you hope that message is?
I would say that you should commit all of your cruise sales only to Norwegian moving forward because of this. I think that's a simple message we all can get behind. It makes your life easy. You only have to know and sell one brand. I mean, how hard is this, people? Come on.
I think that is absolutely your job to say that. It's not mine, but you can absolutely say that, and I can't stop you from doing so. That is just effective salesman work. So we are getting a couple questions from the audience. I'm going to make sure that my trusty person behind the scenes is feeding them to me, but I'll ask this. So with this change, do you see this becoming something happening? And they ask cruise, but do you see this, sort of following suit with other lines elsewhere in the travel industry? Like, do you see this trend of being more transparent, more open, something that ASTA is asking for? Do you see that happening elsewhere in other areas of the travel industry?
I think anything, there's potential for anything, and change. You never know when it's going to happen, and every company has to run their business in the way that they need to run their business. And I am just happy that Norwegian, we now have this change made, and we have some good momentum, and the light is shining on us because we've done this. We want to keep a light on us. I have a vested interest and a bias in my amazing sales team, and we're all out there working with you to try and help you grow your business. And we think this is, a very positive way forward, and we'll see what happens across the industry. But honestly, not my concern. My concern is all Norwegian.
We are getting the question a couple of times. You've got some sister brands. Do you anticipate? Do you know? Are those conversations in the works? But again, I'll just say from my perspective, from my understanding, this happened at the NCL level. Obviously, you have a parent holding company that's got some sister brands.
Yep.
You work for NCL, you don't work for them.
Yep.
Is there anything you can say about those other brands that you don't work for?
Yeah, I think, clearly there's, these things are always under review. And I think based on our introduction of this and implementation and what we're going to see out of this, we'll see whether Oceania and Regent, take this and run with it, or, however they're going to manage their business and their partnership with you all. So I would just say watch this space. And, clearly they value the trade as much as Norwegian and really appreciate all the support you give. But, we'll see as time goes on if they completely follow suit or they do a version of it. There's different ways of doing this. So we shall see how they manage this moving forward.
Well, John, I just got the message. No one is asking questions. Everyone is just raising their hand for Seminar at Sea. So with that, I'll ask, do you have anything else? And we for the audience, I will get that list to John. If you're raising your hand, I believe we will literally have a list of so-and-so from so-and-so raising their hand, and I'll make sure John sees it. Or I'll just make sure he gets this list and offers it to everybody. We can maybe twist some arms there too. John, is there anything else you want to leave the audience with?
I just want to say thank you to everybody for taking time to join in. Sorry again for the technical issues at the start. Thank you to ASTA for your support, your advocacy. Big fans of the work you do. And, I think all of this is a true partnership across, all of it. And we're lucky to be in this business. And this is for me, it's a get-to job. I get to do this job. I'm lucky to do this. And I'm just thankful I have such a great team and such a great product to sell. At the end of the day, the amazing shipboard team members and the service they're delivering. And like I said, our service scores keep going up and up. And I'm so excited for the future with our new ships, Great Sharpe, all the things we have going on. It's an exciting time. And I just can't wait to see, how this year plays out. But I think it's very, very bright.
I will reiterate, ASTA released a statement last week. You can go to asta.org to look at that if you haven't seen it already. From the travel advisor community, we think this is a very positive move. Anytime that members are paid fairly and on time for the work they do, and more transparently for the work they do, we thank you for making this change. So John Chernesky, thank you so much. And thank you to all who are listening. Again, I'm just getting lots and lots of people celebrating no more NCFs in the chat. So popular move. Thank you, John.
Thank you all so much. Take care of yourself.
All right. Have a great afternoon.